Next up for the Soup Chronicles, we have, this is a broccoli cheddar soup. This is another really good soup that I kind of looked at a couple different recipes and saw how they were doing it and kind of merged a couple and made my own. So follow along with me as we put this together for the first time. So again, starting off my soup base here with some olive oil and some onion. I basically diced it up pretty small for this one. I didn't want like big pieces of onion in this soup. And got that going. Add again some garlic. And I had some more potatoes left from that sausage kale potato soup from earlier in the month. So it was honestly like every week I made a soup. It's kind of how I think my partner was done with soup. We've got 3 potatoes here, and we are getting them diced up into, you know, some decently bite-sized chunks. It's not like super small dicing, it's just enough to be, you know, forked up. I'm going to soften up those potatoes because, like I used in my other videos, I used the emulsion blended beans to thicken my sausage kale soup. There's Bella. Pay attention to me, mommy. I used the beans in the emulsion blender to thicken that, and then the roasted fired tomato, diced tomato in my tortellini soup recipe, and I'm doing the potato to thicken up this one. So gotten my broccoli chopped up into big pieces. I didn't want like super big pieces, but I didn't want it to like disappear in the soup. I've had cheddar broccoli soups where I feel like it was more cheddar than broccoli, or they've like chopped up the broccoli kind of small. But you know, I wanted a chunky soup. I like a chunky soup, kind of like a stew. But you'll see I'm gonna add just about 2 tablespoons of flour here. Give that a good stir up. And then I took another 3 potatoes and added that in there. And that was a little bit of thyme that you just saw me add in there. And then we're going in with the chicken stock. I used about 3 cups of chicken stock and poured that in. And then we're gonna start putting in all the potatoes. Into the party they go. This soup was good, but I have to say it was even better the next day because I put it in mason jars, and the potato that I basically mash up and add to thicken it, thickened even more because it got cold. So when it was reheated, it was even thicker. So it was good. It was probably better the day later. At least it was delicious the day of, but I feel like the day later it was even better. I honestly think with most leftovers and anything you make can taste better the day after. I think some magic happens in the fridge and you just get better flavor. So as far as the cheese that I'm using, I picked quite a few different cheeses for this initially. Right now I am grating up white cheddar, and basically the entire block of that for my, cheddar base. And Bella's very interested, as you can see. Usually she's right there. I mean, in the first video I had the different camera angle so you couldn't see her, but that's what she does. She just kind of like makes noises at me because I'm preparing food and she's not getting any of it. And then she slowly backs her way out into the hallway to sit down. And you're gonna see me cut off a piece of cheese for my fiance. He loves cheese. I heard him coming down the hall. So I feel like I summoned him while shredding up this cheese. Kamal does like cheese. It's its own food group if you asked him. It's not part of the dairy food group. So we took that, pretty much that entire block here. Slowly but surely. Trying not to grate my knuckles or my fingers. Alright, so I'm gonna add some paprika to this because why not? Gives some good flavor, gives some good color. So we're gonna mix that all in there. I just want my broccoli and my potatoes to get nice and tender. And then over here we've got that, the potatoes that we set to mash up before. We cut those up first and we had them going and boiling just with a little bit of salt. At this point, I'm just going to add a little bit of butter to them while they're still hot. And this is going to be what thickens up my soup here. I used my little ground meat mincer guy because my potato masher is just a little bit too big for this tiny pot. But it worked. It worked well. And even if there's a couple clumps in there, I mean, there's diced potato in there anyway. My Henkel glass lid strikes again. You can use the lid to the Ninja for this, but it gives you this error that says you need to use a different lid, and if you do use the other lid, it tries to pressure cook it because it's supposed to build up pressure. So I find if you're going to do this, if you're going to use it to make stews like this, as if it was like a stock pot over a stove, just use another glass lid. So we're going to get that nice mashed potato in there to thicken up our soup. Alright, so we've added that in there. I'm gonna salt it. Not go super crazy with the salt. Gonna get my pepper in there. Remember, I have a little pepper. And then give it a good stir. And it's already nice and thick from that potato alone. And you're gonna see me here. I've made some sourdough rolls. Again, I'll do this in another recipe, but I was doing these rolls while I was doing the soup because I wanted rolls to go with this soup. And I was, yeah, you'll see a little bit of what I was doing here. I got them all divided up as best I could. So this was my cheese from earlier, if you remember that. And that's a big chunk of broccoli that I left in there. Look at that one. Fishing that out later. Alright, so here's my cheese. That's my white cheddar. I use that entire block. I'm going to add some half and half. I feel like that's been a theme. just to give it some creaminess. We want hearty soups here, folks. We want them to taste good and we want them hearty. So, see me just the the potato had basically like the mashed potato had started to hang out at the bottom of the bowl there. So I broke that up. Gonna get all my cheese out of there. My little IKEA cheese grater. Love this thing. Moved with me 3 times. Thought I lost it once. Alright, we're gonna mix all that yummy white cheddar in there. And look at that. It's the secret, honestly, if you're gonna do like, even if you're making a cheese sauce for like mac and cheese, let the roux or the soup or whatever it is come down in temperature and then add the cheese, because if it's hot and like bubbling, depending on the cheese, it's probably going to separate or curdle and get like graininess. So that's like the secret to a good like cheese sauce. And sometimes I've been guilty of this. I've been in such a rush because it's either after work or I'm just really hungry or whatever the case is, me just throwing it in there. And I'm like, yeah, I'll deal with the graininess. But if you want a nice smooth like cheese sauce or a cheese soup like that, let that soup come down in temperature a bit, which is what I did. And then I added the shredded, if you can see here, I'm cutting up a little piece to give Bella later. Because I did a chicken breast to add. I wanted to add some protein to this, so I just took one of the larger breasts of chicken, and you can see Kamal is just like trying to gatekeep her. You can't hear her, but she was at me like a little seal, and she smelled that chicken, that dog and chicken, I tell you. But I've done that because that's her meal every birthday. It's her treat. I mean, she gets chicken jerky for treats every day. So she loves her chicken. So we're at, this was still like really hot, which is why I didn't like manhandle it. It was still quite warm. But Bella and Kamal are circling me. He's just chasing her around. Probably should have kept the audio for that because it was kind of funny. But she's waiting for her chicken. Whatever scrap. Oh, to be honest with you, that wasn't the only chicken breast that I cooked up. You can see this one here. So Bella does get, I promise, Bella does get chicken here. It was only salted and peppered. It didn't have, onion or garlic or anything like that. I just kept it simple. A little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can see you can kind of see that it's steaming there. It was hot. You can kind of see it. At least I can see it in the view here. But it was hot. We always joke that my fiance has asbestos fingers because he can withstand like hot stuff that's like almost right out of the oven. And I'm a big baby. I got it tender-handed. So she's still waiting. She's still pacing. He's still chasing her. Say hot. Still hot. Went right into the warm soup. The chicken was still really tender too. It was just to temperature, which is how I always do it. If I'm going to make chicken, I just quick thermometer it just to make sure I get 165. We don't really play around with that here. Oh, I didn't show you, but that little piece of nub of chicken left was for Bella. Alright, so this is my, this was a Gruyere. I wanted to get a little smoky flavor, and this was, honestly, I got this cheese at Aldi. Aldi, if you're gonna you want to do a charcuterie board, or you know, do some sort of cheese related meal, I would say Aldi's a good way to get some variety cheeses. So this was a smoked Gruyere cheese. I don't really. Oh, yeah. So Kamal decided he wanted to cut himself a slice of that while he thought I wasn't looking, but I saw it. Telling you, you have cheese, Kamal will be there. So we got a little bit under probably a cup of Gruyere in there. And that just made it like a silky smooth cheese sauce. A lot of good flavor, had that smokiness. Would definitely buy that cheese again. I don't remember what brand it was. I know it had an apple on the label, and I got it at Aldi. That's all I could tell you, but it was a good cheese. You can get that all in there. I think I had asked him to put it away. And he bagged it up. And I had the nubbin that was left. And I'll tell you, it's good cheese. My little shadow. Just checking to see if I dropped anything. I forget how tiny she is until I look back at videos like this. She's such an itty bitty thing. That was Kamal giving me a cheek smooch. So that's the broccoli and cheese soup. And I'll tell you. Ooh, we're in focus trouble here. That's the soup. And that's the rolls. And like I said, the day later, it thickened even more. So I honestly liked it the second day. Because that, the starchiness in that potato, I think it just thickens with the cold. And so when you reheat it, it wasn't as thin. So I topped this with a little bit of bacon. And then I took out some chives and added that. It was kind of like, turned it into a baked potato soup, if we're being honest here, with some broccoli. It was good. I mean, it was potatoey and rich with cheese and the broccoli. And we had those monstrous rolls to go with them, which lasted a couple days. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful?